Alright, so this is the rest of Chapter 7. Starting off with our definition of full employment. The economy is fully employed when it's experiencing only frictional and structural unemployment. Remember that frictional unemployment happens when we just start looking for a job, or if we get fired and then we can start looking for another job. The main point is that with frictional, we keep the same skill set. Whereas with structural unemployment, that could be, say, if GM goes out of business, and originally I was on an assembly line, and every other car business also goes out of, or every other car manufacturer that uses my type of job also goes out of business, and now I have to become a pumpkin maker. And now I have to get a new skill set to make pumpkins. So because I need a new skill set, that means I have structurally unemployed, or structural unemployment. So our full unemployment rate of unemployment is the rate that is consistent with full employment. Our natural rate of unemployment, the NRU, is when the economy is said to be producing its potential output. So when the number of job seekers equals the number of job vacancies. Remember, if you're in the labor force, that means you are seeking work. If you're currently seeking and you're not employed, that means you're unemployed. If you're currently seeking and you have a job, that means you are employed. Our potential output is real GDP that occurs when the economy is fully employed. So we get our potential output when we believe we are at a full employment rate of unemployment. Now we look at our GDP gap. The GDP gap is the difference between our actual and our potential GDP. You can see here in this area, this blue shaded area, we have positive GDP gap. Whereas down here in this yellow area, which I'm painting green, we have a negative GDP gap. Our actual GDP is the blue line, and our potential GDP is this red line that goes through. When we have unemployment, it affects different demographic groups unequally. So as you can see here, this is the unemployment rate in 1999 was 4.2%, whereas in 2002 it was 5.8. So from 1999 to 2002, the unemployment rate rose from 4.2 to 5.8. That's an increase of 1.6%. So if everything was equal across the board, then everything should equally increase by 1.6%. Here we have our two different types of occupations, managerial and professional, and operators and fabricators and laborers. Here for the managerial and professional, they had an increase of only 1.2. Whereas those operators, fabricators, and laborers had an increase of 2.6. You can see there's a huge unemployment rate increase difference between these two different types of occupations. When we look at the different ethnicities, African Americans increased by 2.2%. Whereas Hispanics increased by 1.1 and whites increased by 1.4. The biggest difference here that we're going to see is in our education. So for our less than high school diplomas, we had an increase of 2.4. With high school diplomas, we had an increase of 1.8. Then for a college degree or more, we only had an increase of 1.1. As you can see, that's a huge difference in the unemployment rate increase between college and if you do not get a high school diploma. As we can see, there are non-economic costs to having high unemployment rates. If we have severe cyclical unemployment, we have sometimes have a social catastrophe. And history demonstrates that we have huge social and political changes if we have severe unemployment. So our next section is on inflation. When we talk about inflation, we're talking about a general rise in the increase of prices and the level of prices. So inflation causes prices to general level of prices to increase, whereas deflation causes a general decrease in the level of prices. We measure inflation by looking at the changes in the consumer price index. So our rate of inflation is just the percentage change in the CPI. We have two different types of inflation: demand pull inflation and cost push. Demand pull happens when excessive demand bids up the prices and the limited output, and this is usually caused by an overissuance of money by the central bank.